everybody. Welcome to the Tech-Mex podcast. I'm your host, Eric Ramirez, and I've got my awesome co-host here, Mando Gomez.
Here we are, man. Here we are.
Here we are with episode 29, number 29. Well, let's get into it. Dale.
Dale. All right, what do you got?
Hey, I don't know if you noticed, I got a special shirt on today.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I. For those that are not in YouTube, Eric is wearing his Texans.
Yeah, that's true. Forget about those that just listen to us. Yeah, that's true. It's Texans Day. Actually, it's a playoff game today. So we actually had another playoff game last week, but I didn't wear my jersey actually onto the podcast. But since this could be our last game of the season. I figured let me go ahead and wear my Texans jersey. And by the way, it's an older one. For those that are in the know, this is Arian Foster jersey from way back when, probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, maybe.
I have no idea, man. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So what are the odds?
My other one fits a little tight.
Do you think that they're going to win? Do you think that they're going to lose?
Okay, so here's the thing. So last week, just to fill you in a little bit on what happened is last week we played the Browns, which I don't know. I don't remember if we were favored or not, but we ended up beating their butts pretty soundly. It was like 40 something to like maybe 18. I forget exactly the score, but it was we pretty much ran away with it. And part of the big news is that we have this rookie quarterback, CJ Stroud, which now I've got to go buy his jersey now. I had a Watson jersey, but I can't wear that one. So I need to replace it. There's a whole other backstory on that guy. But yeah, so this CJ Stroud rookie guy, he's really, really good. He's breaking records. This is like the most dominant rookie quarterback player like of all time is what we're seeing. So, given that, there's a little bit of, uncertainty there. Like maybe we could pull off a win. You never know. We're actually playing the Baltimore Ravens, which they are actually the top team in the NFL right now. So
I'll put my money on them.
But you never know. You never know. With CJ Stroud on our side, I think there's always a chance. So we got to go in there with a little bit of hope and see if maybe there's an opportunity for us to pull the upset there. But yeah, it's gonna be an exciting day today. So once we finish up the our podcast today, I'm gonna go head over, probably watch the game at my brother's house and enjoy the afternoon doing that. Hopefully we pull out the win. Are you into football?
I'm not. Any sports, to be honest. I like to be in the stadiums, though. That's a different story. But if I'm watching on my TV, it's like, what the heck is this? Right?
Yeah, that's true. I remember once you told me, "Oh yeah, I just got back from the Rockets game or something like that." I'm like, "What? You were at this? You went to go watch a basketball game? It's like you should have let me know."
That year, because sometimes it's because maybe some people are coming and like, "Hey, I want to be like I never seen a basketball NBA game or whatever it is."
And you're like,
sure.
Me neither. Hey, let's do it.
No, I've been in. I have friends that they have the box office or whatever, and they just invited us and things like that, right? So it's different. It is different. I took the kids to see. I don't think that my kids also are into sports, but yeah, we have been going to baseball, basketball, even NFL as well, right? Soccer, but I don't think that. But in the stadium, like I said, is way different. The energy, the kind of like all of the people, the wave.
Yeah.
And even they are losing. Still, it's like the whole environment is different.
That's true. Well, I completely agree with that. Whenever we get a chance to go to the games, we usually do. I know my brother, he gets tickets through work, so sometimes we sit in the box. Sometimes we get pretty close to near the court. Mm-hmm. So we've got a variety of tickets there that we get to go to, especially for the Rockets games. Not so much Texans game, but those are a little bit harder to come by. But hey, if they make it to the Super Bowl, Texans, if they pull out the win today and, they get to the next rounds, it might be worth it to try and see if we can get some tickets to the Super Bowl.
So is anyone in your family, like, let's say that you guys are into Texans and you have any like uncle or whatever, that they have like some rivalry on between the different teams? Is that happening in your family or not?
I would say no, not really. I mean, right. So if you know a little bit of the history of Houston sports teams, especially football, we used to be the Oilers, the Houston Oilers, but then the team got moved, right? So if anything, there's some of that, but it's already been over 20 years. I think it may have been in 2000 that we had Texans formed or near that time. So which, it's a 24-year-old, under 25-year-old team. So the people that are still remember the Oilers, that's more of a nostalgia thing. And so I don't think there's anybody really that. The big rivalry that you tend to see in the area is Dallas and Houston. So the Cowboys and the Texans, or that's usually what you tend to see. And so I know we have some of our viewers here that are diehard Cowboys fans. I won't mention any names, Leo, if you are listening. But Texans got further this season. But yeah, that's that's usually what you see from my viewpoint, at least.
Yeah, in Mexico, what you see is because they have also a lot of teams for soccer, right? For football. Over there is the real football guys. It's like it always. That's right. That's right. Usually we call them American football, right? When we are over here, but yeah, you see a lot of teams in over there. So and you see families that they split for whatever reason, right? They one of the popular ones are America. That's the name of the club, which their uniforms are yellow, and then you have this rivalry between Chivas, which is from Guadalajara, and the other one is from the main city, from Mexico City. So that's kind of, they call it the classic. And man, they fill up the stadium, right? The Aztec Stadium is like about 100,000 people there. It's like massive, one of the biggest stadiums I guess, in the world. And yeah, they fill it up, right, every time. So that's one. The other one that is actually now becoming a classic too is Pumas. Pumas is like it's almost college, but it's not college. It's still part of it, but it's kind of very young crowd and people that they just like that vibe. But yeah, and there is rivalries in families. You see, like in my family, there is a bunch of people from that they actually are cheering for them and things like that. So yeah, I always sure. I'm always curious in families how they get split.
Well, so what you do see a lot, I think, maybe is in like college football, where like in Texas, you might have one kid that went to A&M and the other one went to UT. So you always see a house divided. They have those banners that they have outside where you have both, or like the wife went to UT, a husband went to A&M. You see that a lot too. So yeah, you see those rivalries a lot more, I think, especially in college around here. So. But it's all fun. It's all fun. It keeps the football weekends exciting. So Saturday you got your college football, Sunday you got your NFL football. But I think the last couple of games have been on Saturday for Texans. So hopefully if we keep going, it'll move over. Once we get to the Super Bowl.
Keep it remembered, okay.
Oh man. Well, anyways, I'm excited. So we're gonna see what happens later on today. We'll fill you in if I talk about it next week again. You know that we did well. If I don't even bring it up, don't even ask
in that way,
it.
I bring it up. Like, so, okay, what happened with your Texans?
Too funny. Hey, you know what else is actually really funny this week that we saw? So, most of the U.S. I think had this freezing weather come around this week, right? Like it was really frozen around time. And in Houston, people freak out once it starts. It gets to 30 degrees and people start freaking out. They start canceling school. I think they did cancel school a couple days.
I mean, it is snow, right? Couple days of snow.
Yeah. So,
in
I
some
mean,
areas.
when we say it snowed, it's like you saw white on the floor. That's pretty much it. It's not
That
like
is,
layers of snow. And most likely it was just ice too. It's,
dude. But even 1 inch of snow, it will make like the whole city stop because
oh,
we
yeah,
don't
for
have
sure.
we don't have anything. Like literally, there is no salt. There's nothing, and it becomes thin ice, right? Like literally, like the street. So it is very dangerous as well over here in Houston because we are not used to that type of weather.
Yeah, so we get a little goofy around that. But, this time around, it wasn't just us in Houston that were freaking out with the weather. It's a lot across the country. People were freaking out because their Teslas weren't charging for some reason. So, like, apparently, I guess once it gets to a certain temperature, like Teslas aren't able to charge very easily or very well or very efficiently. So, you had all these different charging stations that had just piles and piles of Teslas that couldn't charge. Did you see this?
Yeah, and it made all the news, right? Like a Tesla Chargepocalypse.
Exactly. It's like, oh no. Well, I mean, but Charge Apocalypse, I love it. But like, what are people supposed to do with these Teslas? And I will say, from my experience, this
Bricks,
just
cold
what?
bricks.
Oh,
Cold I
that's a
mean,
heavy desk weight right there. Yeah.
that will be tough, right? Like you are literally going out and suddenly your car is like, or even draining, the battery is draining, right? So a
Hmm.
bunch of problems with that. uh, it is tough. I think that the company Tesla, or even all of the electric vehicles, they're going to have to resolve that issue,
Yeah.
because all of these, they have like chemicals internally, lithium or whatever is the chemicals that they have, and yeah, they when they change in temperature, or it's it's tough. I think that that was a miscalculation, um, because we saw a lot of cars like that.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. I'm assuming they have to have some type of insulation or something, like like they would know that this is going to be a potential issue. They do cold weather testing, right? So they know people are going to be in 0 degree weather or even negative degree weather. I wonder if they put up any type of warning on the car. Like, were people prepared? Like, did they realize, hey, they're not going to be able to charge, or did their battery just drain? Like in my instance, we weren't at home during the whole freeze. We were at my mother-in-law's, and so we had the car just sitting outside. And I did, over like a day or two,
Hmm.
it's sitting on the drive. We lost 50 miles of range. Now, if we didn't have um, a full enough charge there, we could have also been left stranded also there. So we lost a lot of range, about 50 miles. So that was really interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Usually we lose a little bit of range because we have what's called sentry mode on, where it's always kind of recording on the cameras. So you can
Hmm.
see when someone goofy goes and tries to scratch a car, or there's which people do that a lot, or people
Really?
just slam their doors open into your car.
But they
You
don't
can
do it on
maybe
purpose. It's just that the Texans can have a
mm,
big ass truck and you just open the door.
you're
Boom.
right, but there's a whole Reddit sub of Tesla cams that capture people obviously doing stuff on purpose. There is one that I saw recently. It's a dude that jumps up onto the Tesla and runs over it. There's a lot of people that hate Tesla, or like hate what it represents, or maybe hate
Or Elon,
Elon
right? It's just
or Elon.
like,
Yeah, so they're
dude,
like,
I just like their cars, right? Like, how do you see them, or what is the
ah,
whole purpose?
well, I mean, it really is so you can see if someone's messing with a car. On the app, it gives you the opportunity to see or to talk like on the speaker. It's like, hey,
Mm.
get the fuck away from my car. Or, or you could, there's
Hey,
a,
GTA 4.
or there's a horn that you can press that's a fart noise. I like that one too. That one's pretty funny. Or a goat. I think there's a goat one that goes,
How high goes the sound? Like,
oh, it's loud. Yeah,
it's
it's
loud.
loud. Yeah. So
Okay.
like if let's say I'm going to pick up my mom from her
Hmm.
home, like I'm taking her to lunch or something, I can push it on the car and she'll hear the goat going from outside. and know that I'm there.
Do you have also la cucaracha? La cucaracha.
Yes, I got that one too. But you know what's actually kind of cool is that they added the ability to load custom sounds now. That was just in a recent update. So I haven't done one yet, but I'm trying to figure out what would be a cool sound. Maybe I'll go dale.
Obviously,
Dale.
obviously. But the person might get like a piñata, man. It's like to start dale, dale.
I know, right? Hopefully not.
They're gonna grab your Tesla like a piñata.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, I bet you a bunch of people that were in this Chargepocalypse, they wanted to do that to their Tesla because they were out there stuck in the middle of nowhere. Freezing weather. I mean, what did they do? I mean, they either have to get it towed or just have to hang out
all
of
of
the
the ball,
car.
right? Like, you have to, like, or whenever they came back. But I would be pissed if that would happen, right? So I'm still debating, right? I'm waiting for my Cybertruck. I'm in the queue, right? Like maybe in 5 years.
Oh, by the way, like speaking of Cybertruck, so right now, okay, so we haven't really talked too much about it, but let me fill in folks on kind of what's going on with it. So right now they introduced this Founders Edition, basically, and it's like, hey, you can pay $20,000 extra, and you can get a Founders Edition truck. And I mentioned like you get basically some extra floor mats, and you get a little design logo on your bumper, and that's pretty much it for $20K. But what they're doing is they're going through the queue, right, of people that put in their orders and offering it to them. Hey, do you want your Cybertruck now as a Founders Edition? And people have the opportunity to say, no, I want to wait for the normal edition, so you don't have to pay the $20K. But those that are willing to pay the extra $20K, they can get their Cybertruck. Right now, I think they're just doing the dual motor. They're not doing the Cyber Beast yet. I think it's this dual motor Founders Edition. So if you're willing to buy that, so it's $100K. If you're willing to put the $100K for that version of the truck, you're able to purchase it. Right now, they're working through their way through the queue. My number's almost coming up. Right now, it's like 11285, the first numbers of your reservation number that they're up to, and I'm at 11289. So maybe within the next month or so, I'll probably get the opportunity to buy one. I don't know if I want to spend the extra $20K.
Doesn't sound worth it, but maybe the only reason would be if you can get it now, right? Like your truck. So maybe it might be, well, because there is even some people that they were like they were selling them on eBay and things like that, right? So well, it would be interesting. Yeah, but it's not worth it. It's only those if it's like literally some floor mats.
Yeah, well, I think they give you FSD also. But I think when I did my reservation, the full self-driving, which doesn't work yet, right? I had already reserved it, or when I made my reservation, it was supposed to be for $7K. So, it doesn't go up to the full $20K price. Like, I don't see the value there, right? Other than you get it early. I think that's really the main value that you get. But I was looking, I'd say, okay, well, if it comes down to it, I don't know. Let me make a comparison. So I found a Lambo to buy. It actually looked pretty nice. It's a little baby Gallardo Lamborghini, a blue one.
Gallardo.
It looked pretty nice. So I don't know. and it's actually close to the same price that Cybertruck would be. So I'm still weighing. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet, especially when it feels like, yeah, man, they overpromised, underdelivered, stuff like that. But the Cybertrucks are looking pretty cool, so I will give them that. I've seen a lot of people posting their videos of their wrapping. You've seen the matte black. I've seen some metallic red. These are looking pretty cool. So I don't know. It could be more fun to have the truck than the little sports car. Or get both. Yeah, well, I'd have to wait for the little Bitcoin to pop a little bit more.
That's a good segue, though. So, what the heck with Bitcoin price, man? Like, did you notice? So we were so excited for the ETF, right? 11, not only one, right? Not only two, 11 ETFs, right? All of the ETFs they got approved, which, I give kudos to the government. That in that way, it's like I don't see preference for BlackRock, right? Or Fidelity
Hmm.
or whatever. So that was good. Good pat on the back to the government. Uh, but like, what the heck, right? So we discussed this couple times. What's going on? So let's rehash. What do you think that is going on now? Because we touched almost 48 on
Oh,
uh,
49, just about
49 almost,
almost.
right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were in the
almost.
48s. Hmm.
So and now it went down to even 40s,
40.
40, touch it 40, right? So uh, it's a big chunk, right? So it's
Hmm.
20% in less than a week. So let's tell the audience what we think that is happening. And
Yeah.
again, we are two dudes in the internet. We are not financial advisors. So
Yeah.
don't
Well,
listen to us.
what was the thing that we ended with last when we were talking about it? Is like, what does BlackRock want? They want cheap Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, these remember these institutions they call it the smart money, right? And because literally they are moving the money from other people, and obviously if they don't make money for them, they will not make their money. That's an interesting thing, by the way, for the audience. Um, Most of these people they used to have this notion of the 220, which is the way how they were charging as basically advisors. That's how they made their money. And what it means is that they used to have like they will charge them 2%. Let's say that if you have $1 million in the bank, they will charge them 2% a year just for the fee of handling their money, whether they were making money or not. That was kind of the fee, 2%, and then they will charge 20% on the profits of the investment. Let's say that the investment did 10%. So for that example of the 1 million, let's say that you already made 100K, so it will be 1.1 millions that you did in that year. So these guys, they will charge you the literally 2%, and on top of that, 20% of that profit that you did on those at that 100K, and they'll take that money out of that. That's how they were able to grow all of these financial institutions humongously, right? But also, we understand that not a lot of people have the knowledge to be able to diversify, to assess, to do some asset allocation, things like that. But yeah, right now with robo advisors, it's a little cheaper. But yeah, that's how it happened. Like very until very recent. Right now, I think that is 1.2 I have here, or 1.1, right, 110%. So it's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, and so what you mentioned, that's what Grayscale has been doing, like leading up to this. They've had their they've had their customers that have been purchasing GPTC, right? And their fees are a little high, right? Compared
They're
to
high.
what all the newcomers are offering. So, like we mentioned this a little bit last week, is that what we think is happening is like the people that are currently customers of Grayscale, they're like, okay, like cool, Grayscale was they were the only people in town that was offering this before. Now we've got all this new ones. Let me go ahead and pull out my money. I'll take the tax hit right now. I may have bought they may have bought it when it was a little bit higher, when Bitcoin was like at, let's hit 60K or something like that. So they're going to take a little bit of a loss that, but that's okay. They'll use it for their taxes. And so they're going to sell off their GBTC, and then move it into something cheaper like the BlackRock IBTC or Fidelity's FBTC, so they can get cheaper fees, right? So what is that causing? As people sell their Grayscale, That's going to drive the Bitcoin price down, right? Because Grayscale has to keep um, keep an equivalent amount of Bitcoin, right? So if there's people coming out of Grayscale, they've got to sell the Bitcoin, and that's going to drive the price down. Now, you would think, well, as people buy the new ETFs, they're going to be buying, and that's going to cause the price to go up. I think that's what mainstream people would have thought. But like we mentioned last week, is more than likely right now they're buying OTC so that they don't drive the Bitcoin up. And why? It's because they want to keep the price a little bit down so they can continue to get, Bitcoin at this price. So thing is, they can't do this for too long, right? Supplies will run out. Like a lot of people are using Coinbase to manage their funds, and so But actually, that's a weird thing, actually, though. So Coinbase has the Bitcoin that they're trying to buy, so they're going to buy it from Coinbase. But then they're going to leave it in Coinbase too because they're the ones managing the funds. So I wonder if that's causing, you know, some weirdness also with the price because it's not like they're removing it from the exchange from
Hmm.
Coinbase, but I don't think Coinbase is allowed to rehypothecate like with normal banks. Like they can't sell that one Bitcoin to three
Dude,
different people.
that will suck if a company is like,
Yeah.
oh, we did an error here on calculation, and they are actually using it to resell it to somebody else, right? Like in the case of the banks, there are regulations that for any dollar that we are putting on the bank account, there is fake money, right? Where they can relent to other people, and they just have that as a collateral of the 20% or whatever, depending on the rule.
Hmm.
Hopefully they're not doing that, right? So because there's only 21 million, how many have been mined? 20. It's
Probably
basically
20
we're almost
million
there.
just about.
20 million,
Yeah.
right? So it's only 1 million away to be able to mine, and that's it. There's only 21 million ever, plus the
Hmm.
ones that we lost, and the ones that people they have lost their coins. Or
Hmm.
do you remember that guy that he had a computer and the wife throw it away in the trash can, and because it's an old computer,
Right.
and it's like worth I don't know how many millions now. I
Right.
think that by the way, talking about that story, a few months back, I saw that he actually got some Boston Dynamics robots to be able to start
Oh,
scavenging it on the dump, right? So to see if they find it. So
that's a good idea. Actually, robots, man.
and I mean, if they find it, they find it, right? So, but
Mhm.
I think that is a scrap. Meaning, like it's just
It's a very. I mean, he must have $100 million or so in there,
Mhm.
right? So it's got to
Plus.
be
It's
worth
probably
it.
more than that. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's so that sucks so bad. I don't know, but
I feel sorry for that person, right? So like it is what it
yeah.
is. So going back to the OTC and the BlackRock, we'll see if this cycle is different, right? Because if you see the price, there are some patterns that we see that sometimes it ripples before the kind of the new waves. This is kind of expected, right? So because we are calling it accumulation, where we think that all of these big players, they are trying to accumulate a cheaper coin as they can, so that way, uh, kind of they keep it on their size, because for their cases they can resell it to their all of their pension funds, all of the different things, and if they already have the supply, they can basically hoard it, right? They can become the banker hodlers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so, I was mentioning the exchange supply will eventually dry up. So they can't do OTC purchases there, but there's still also miners. So the miners that are mining Bitcoin, they could buy directly from the miners too. So that's also could be playing a part here, but we do know that the halving is coming in April. So that's going to half the amount of Bitcoin that's going to be able to be mined. Um, and so, that should also cause a little bit of a supply shock too, which should be driving prices up. But we don't know what other tricks they've got up their sleeves. Again, these guys are the professionals, so they probably have some strategies to try and continue to try and get cheap Bitcoin. But ultimately, I mean, it's going to dry up. Like supplies, there's not going to be enough supply for the demand, and the price should eventually go up. But Mando, I like how you mentioned, like, is this cycle going to be different? Because I've been seeing some of that as well. So, for one, I think for those of you that follow into the cryptoverse, Ben Cowan, I think his name is. He always does kind of a macro view. So
Has
more of
nice
the
charts, by the way.
he does have really good charts. So I think maybe at some point we'll start being able to show some of that on our screens to talk about some of it. But I will say, like, there's usually a dip before the bull run, like starts. I mean, I think we're already kind of in the bull run starting, but there's usually this one last dip, and maybe that's where we're at right now. But I think what we've seen in previous cycles, the dip is a little bit deeper. So I don't think if it's going to be similar to what we've seen in the past, the dip is usually a little bit cheaper. So maybe we could even get into the 30s, into the high 30s. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but
do you remember what percentage was that?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember exactly, but we already did kind of, I think it was close to 20% at least. So that last dip, I think it's more of, it's supposed to go down to the last low, the previous local low, which was, I think it was around 38s maybe. So I think that's why they're saying maybe it's around that range. But in any case, we're kind of in that range anyway, so it may not have to go down that low. It could be like 40K was kind of the low, and then it'll start going back, or it could chop sideways. You don't really know, but there are a couple things that are coming that will cause some volatility and some price movement. But the interesting thing that I heard about, will this cycle be different? Have you seen Samson Mao? He's one of those analysts that is kind of very bullish on Bitcoin. He's the one that's saying
No, that one.
1 million, 1.5 million in the cycle.
I will not complain if that happens.
Yeah, hey, I wouldn't either. But there's some thoughts out there that are going on that they're saying, hey, now that these big institutional players are getting into this, and when we say institutional players, they're not all buying right now. It takes time. It takes, they've got now that it's available, it's an available product for the ETFs to be bought. They've got to go do presentations. They've got to convince their management. They've got to get all their salespeople get on board to go, find customers to buy it and things like that. So it's not an instant thing. So, I mean, I don't think we expected to see an instant shot up to 100K. It takes time for this to trickle down.
I think that this is important for the audience, because I think that sometimes the audience think that to the moon, right? And a price just goes up. It doesn't, right?
Yeah, no.
it goes in waves, right? Like usually it keeps rising. Look at any stock; it's never like a straight, right, arrow. So, and I think that sometimes expectations, which I think that we're going in the right direction. The government is allowing it. We have good players, good institutions, and it's great news. Even if the price is not reflecting it right now, it's great news for the ecosystem. Talking about BlackRock, they have 9 trillions. Like they call it AUM, which is basically the kind of the money that they control or they manage, right? So it's their annual. It stands for annual
assets under management.
Assets under management. That's right. So and it's a lot. It's a lot of money, right? And one of the things that happened is that in 1 week, the one for BlackRock, their ETF, they were having 1 billion AUM, which is a lot. It's a lot for a very short amount of time. So in their perspective, it was a success. Because I believe that they only were sitting it with only 25 million Bitcoins, I think, in some point, right? So I don't understand very well the numbers, how with only 25 millions they're able to control that much. So, but again, that was what it was in the news.
Yeah. So I think they're purchasing. I'm not sure if they're beating Michael Saylor yet, but they do have a good amount. I think it's 25,000 bitcoins that they may have already purchased, and that's how they're getting to kind of that $1 billion mark already. But I think it's already getting over there. So they're going to
Michael
be in
Saylor is still
competition,
the
right?
OG. Man. He
Yeah,
has
they have
150,000,
150,000.
yeah, something like that is bananas.
So they're gonna be in competition here pretty soon, though. Michael Saylor does have a pretty good head start, though. But to your point, Mondo, I think it's been a pretty good success. They saw all of the people and BlackRock is just the biggest player out of all of the ETFs, but all the other ETFs are also making their purchases and they're figuring out their processes and things like that. So that's all looking good. But in saying all that, that's why there's some people that are saying, okay, with all these people now like having institutional money within these ETFs, like it's become more of an official type thing. Are they going to allow the market to come down in bear markets like what we've seen, where we see the 80%, 90% drawdowns from the top of the market, right? Are we going to see that anymore? Are they going to allow that? Do they want to see that? Because it would allow them to also buy, but their customers, they would probably freak out if they saw their portfolios drop by 80%. So there's some speculation there. They're saying we may not see any more bear cycles. It may just now be upward, at least for the foreseeable future, right? Maybe once it stabilizes or whatever, it'd be different. But they're saying that there's going to be too much upward pressure to allow substantial drawdowns like what we were used to seeing in the first 4 cycles.
I do think that also they will try to convince their clients, right? Like, hey, because if the client has the access, they'll sell it there, right? But if like, hey, you know what, this is expected, this is part of the volatility, right, on the instrument, they'll convince them. They say, you know what, it's only 2% in your portfolio, not a big deal, right? This thing will come back at some point and things like that. So I think that it will allow to convince their clients, and then you don't see this exodus, which used to happen very often in crypto, that you'll almost see 90% drop.
You gotta have those price. Diamond hands for that.
for sure, right? So, but yeah, I do expect that maybe we won't see that many, right, of these drawdowns to 90%, but maybe we start seeing 20-30% more normal, right, type of a drawdown, maybe 50, who knows. We'll see but it's interesting how it's going to play out.
Yeah. And, playing a little bit of devil's advocate, we're saying, oh, will it never go down again? Will there be no more bear cycles? Oh, what if we're seeing the start of the opposite? There's not going to be any more bull cycles and it's just going to level off here forever. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't think that's going to be the case, but you never know. We don't really understand necessarily how all these forces are at play. But, my bet is on it going up. But again, that's all it is. It's a bet. We're 2 dudes on the internet, not official financial advice.
Yep. And remember, he is wearing a Texans jersey.
That's true. I haven't made any official bets for today, so I'm not really sure. I've got to really think about it. But no, I'm going for the Texans. So we're going to pull it out. Just watch.
I'll bring it up next week. All right, Billionaires Watch. Dude, when I was preparing for the pod, I was trying to look some, because it's usually your typical Elon Musk, like a Jeff Bezos mansion and playing with his girlfriend, right, and all of that. And so here I'll tell you something that I figured out that was kind of interesting. This this guy nobody knows, right? His name is Clemente I'll try to use my Italian, del Vecchio. Which probably I'm butchering.
Del Vecchio, hey.
Probably I'm butchering his Italian last name there. But anyways, this guy, he's the youngest billionaire right now so far. Do you remember back on those days that it was Kylie Jenner, that she was one of the youngest billionaires, right, from the Kardashians? Mm-hmm. This guy was 18, now 19, inherited $4 billion. So you might say, well, you know what? It doesn't count. Well, maybe, right? And remember that all of these people sometimes they just maybe he might become a trillionaire. I mean, he's just 19-year-old, right?
Just starting out. Yeah.
Just starting now, right? Like if he doesn't blow everything and blow a hose, I mean, it's like you
Yeah.
know he can become a trillionaire, right? He might become a first trillionaire. So,
Yeah.
anyways, you might be wondering why he got 4 billions. Um, he's basically his dad was a businessman. Look, the company was Luxottica, and again, you might think like, what the heck is that company? Well, they had a monopoly for all glasses. Now there are more companies, but literally any of the frames and literally lenses, the company behind all of that, it was just Luxottica. So it was the largest producer basically on retailer of glasses. Their company had about 77,000 employees, which that's what it made it kind of the whole empire or fortune on that. But yeah, that one, it was interesting to me that I never hear about this, and it's sizable, right? 4 billion.
Yeah. I just find it so interesting. Like when we're sitting around, right? We're like, okay, what business do we want to start? What's going to be a good business where we can make, a little bit of money? Let's see if we can make 10, 20 million.
$1 billion.
We're not thinking, let's sell glasses, dude.
What would you say if we just sell glasses?
and these guys have made billions off of selling glasses. So I think maybe the interesting point to take away from that is like it's the scale, right? You need something. If you're going to sell something, the internet is going to be easy to scale. Find something that you could sell and that's going to be scalable, that a lot of people need. I mean, glasses, I don't know what the percentage is of people that actually wear glasses, but I would imagine it's at least 20% of population wears glasses, right? And maybe at some point, everybody does with the reading glasses and stuff like that, right?
Mm.
Once you're over 40 or 50, a lot of people are wearing reading glasses. So, I mean, that bumps up that percentage a lot more. So I think that's just a very, very interesting thing. Something as simple as selling glasses. Now, this kid has $4 billion to his name and has the opportunity to grow it more or pivot into something else. So it's pretty interesting.
Mhm. So, who is next in the list?
So, well, since we're talking Texans and we're talking football, who is I guess the most notable person right now that's been in social media having to do I guess football adjacent is
No,
Taylor
no, no.
Swift.
Let's be real. Let's be real here. Taylor is making the NFL great again.
I mean, you're onto something.
Dude,
All the NFL
Taylor
execs
Swift.
were like, yes, thank goodness, yes. Kelsey, don't mess this up. Travis Kelsey being Taylor Swift's boy toy, right? So
We hear the last few months Taylor became a billionaire, but it's just bananas how it grows her net worth, right? Just alone for her tour, her last tour around US. How many billions it was that?
so so they're saying like, okay, so right, Taylor is now a billionaire. I think she's like 1.1 or something like that. But whenever she does these US tours, like they spend so much money and cost so much money to spend between like tickets and people going out to eat or people getting hotels, people traveling, all this stuff, buying stuff, all the Taylor Swift paraphernalia, got my Swifty shirt on, like all of that adds up to $4 to $5 billion in spend, which gets added to the US economy. So like imagine that, like one person is driving $5 billion to the GDP of the U.S. economy. That's like bigger than 35 different countries around the world that don't even ever reach that much in GDP spend for their country, and yet Taylor Swift by herself is able to do it with one U.S. tour. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, and that's what I was I'm saying, right? Like whether the NFL likes it or not. I mean, all of those Swifties, they start caring about like NFL, right? So it's a big pool. Like, and as you said, 35 countries, right? It's another person to watch. She's still pretty young. She's super talented, right? And we'll see how she starts playing now. But yeah, she's in the club, in the 3 comma club.
That's right. 3 comma club. That's right. I like that. Yeah. I think there's a lot to come for Taylor. I mean, obviously she's done a lot to get to where she is, puts in all the work. She doesn't have too much drama except for her, the lyrics between her and the boys. Hopefully Travis doesn't end up on that other side of Taylor's going to make a new song about him. But
I'm gonna start thinking that maybe it's Taylor that actually she's doing everything on purpose just to get new material.
she needs a new material, right? Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure NFL execs are like, they're like, please, Taylor, stick around for a little bit longer. We need the publicity going into Super Bowl. Yeah. So, well, that's all we've got for Billionaire Watch today, and actually, that's all we've got for today. So, if you liked our content today, just remember to like, subscribe, comment. Again, we love the interaction. We love bringing our watchers into the show as well. So, we've got a lot
And
to
we
talk
love
about again
all of
next time.
Eric's haters too.
The Eric, which Eric? This Eric or that Eric? Yeah, that's true. So whether you love us or hate us, please comment and we'll get back to you. We'll mention y'all next time. All right. We'll see y'all again in a week. Dale.
All right. Dale. Bye.